we're out here trying to get the LS stabbed into the square body, and we're running into a little bit of difficulty. It seems that with the mounts and everything that we're using, we had to scoot the engine all the way back, and it's kind of hitting the transmission when we're trying to drop it in. And we got most everything else, kind of going on. We've got the driver's side motor mount still put in. I mean, the motor mount's there, but the bolt's not. So let me flip you around and show you what I'm talking about. As you can see here, we've got the passenger side motor mount in, the bolt's on, and everything is looking like it's clearing pretty good. We're using these billet plates on the side of the LS right here that are similar to the ICT billet plates, and then we're using just the standard mounts from stock truck. Got some new polyurethane chassis mounts on there. Everything else is looking good. This side's lined up and down, but I can't get it to rotate down, and I think it's because I'm hitting the transmission in the back. We're using it's a 700 R4 transmission, and we're going to make this up to a 4.8 liter LS, and we're having to use kind of a torque converter, hub adapter, snout ring type of deal, and that's kind of giving us some fits. So I think what we're going to do is jump in here and take the drive shaft out of the truck. This is a four-wheel drive truck, and I wasn't sure that the transmission with the transfer case is going to be able to sneak out of here. So when I pulled the 305, I just jerked the motor out and left the transmission in. So I'm going to jump back there and see if I can't get the drive shaft out and see if we can't sneak this transmission back 2 or 3 inches and let this motor go ahead and settle on down. And if we can do that, then we'll be good to go, and we can make the transmission back up and adjust the drive shaft as needed. But let me get up under there and see if we can't get this drive shaft out. But that's kind of what we're working on right now. It's the next afternoon. I did not get the engine in yesterday. There's still issues with the oil pan getting too close to the cross member, the engine cross member, and it's still kind of hitting the transmission in the back. I did get the drive shaft out, the rear drive shaft out. I got the front drive shaft disconnected from the front axle shaft or pump or whatever, the chunk. So I got the transmission for the most part disconnected. I still got some linkages to get out of the way, but the pan is just still too close to the cross member, and I'm really set with like 2 or 3 options, and I don't know exactly which one I'm going to do yet. So one option is to just notch the cross member, put maybe a half moon shape in there, give me no clearance for that corner to go ahead and settle all in. I don't know with that if the mounts that I have are going to work with a 4-wheel drive, because most parts that I'm seeing are for 2-wheel drive, or could possibly work with 4-wheel drive if you do this, or if you have this, or you don't have this, or something of that nature. So I could cut out the cross member a little bit, notch it, like I said, a little half moon to give that corner of the oil pan settle down and give enough clearance there. But I'm worried about the clearance on the rest of the front of the oil pan. If that corner is too close, well, why is it the other corner? Or is it going to hinder bolts if I need to take out the oil pan or something of that nature? The other option I have is Off-Road Design makes a high clearance engine cross member that is made for big blocks or Gen 3, Gen 4 engines, LS engines for the 4-wheel drives. So it's specifically made for a straight axle 4-wheel drive with this body style. It gives me more clearance between the oil pan and the cross member, and it's specifically designed for your big block Chevys or your Gen 3, Gen 4 LS. So the part's like $270 shipped right now. I'm not sure if that's something I want to do, or if I just want to jump in there and hack up that cross member that's in there. It's all bolt-on parts, so it's not a huge deal. If I did jack this one up, I guess I could go back and either buy the one from Off-Road Design, or if I wanted to go back to stock and figure something else out, I could just get a stock one. But I don't know if those engine mounts that are supposed to be universal and to fit this truck, et cetera, are really going to work with a four-wheel drive. Maybe there's something different with the clamshell, bushing mounts. I don't know. But all I know is it's just not right at the moment. So I'm going to rotate. I'm going to punt, so to speak, and just kind of focus on something else until I figure out what to do with that cross member. I'm going to jump on the back of the truck here. I've got to take the bed of the truck off anyway. I want to get to the frame rails and get all those cleaned up, sand them down, repaint them, rust treat them, the whole 9 yards. It's really good shape, but there is just, surface rust and that sort of thing throughout. There's no rust holes in the frame or deep pitting or anything, but there is just a bunch of surface rust that just needs to clean up. I want to get it painted, make it look a lot better, just something that that'll protect it. With that being said, I need to clean out the rest of the stuff out of the bed. I do want to take a look at the box. When I got the truck, it had a plastic bed liner in it, and I want to put a spray bed liner in it. I took the plastic one out, and the box looks really, really good. But I just want to make sure that since it's hadn't sat out in the last year and a half, that I want to make sure that it's still good to go and there's no rust holes forming or anything like that. That way I can clean it up and put it in the spray bed liner. When I had the bed of the truck off, I've got to get to the fuel tank. I've got a new sitting unit coming next week. Should have got it today. Miscommunication on delivery, so it'll be next week I'll get it, and that way that'll give me a start on the fuel system. It's got a new sitting unit we're putting in. We're going to wire it in to our fuel gauge and all that. Plus, I've got a carbureted external fuel pump, a fuel pump for carburetors. It's a Holly Sniper that's regulated, I think, at 7 or 9 psi without a return. So we're going to be able to plumb that in. We're going to run new lines. We're going to take out the return line on this truck. Everything should work out pretty good, but that's just going to give me access to that. Plus, the tank's 40 years old and it's metal. It was running when I got it, so hopefully there's not anything too bad in the tank, but I do want to clean it out and make sure that there's no mouse houses on top of it or a bunch of spider eggs or whatever. I just want to clean all that out, make sure there's no mud and gunk and junk. And of course, clean up any wire that's under there. If there's any excess wire from previous owners, or if there's any bad wiring for the tail lights, turn signals, that sort of thing, I want to clean up all that. And I think we're going to do something with the little paint on the truck eventually. It'll be later on down the episodes, but we're going to figure something out. And I'm not sure if I want to paint it. I'm not a body man, and there's a little bit of there's body work that needs to be done on the bed. Not a ton. It's not in real bad shape, but it's got a little bit here and there, and it's beyond my expertise. But I could get it good enough for now. Here's the thing I'm thinking. One, sand it down, throw a clear coat on it, just rock out with the body damage that it is, and just kind of have this old rusty cruddy patina looking truck with a black hood, because it doesn't have a hood right now. Two, sand it down to the silver, down to metal, clean up all the rust areas, rust treat everything, prime all the rust areas that may be pitted or getting to be pretty bad, sand it all back down smooth, and then clear it. So kind of have a silver box, like just bare metal box, but on top of all the rust, it would be, the rust areas would be treated and primed, sanded down, cleaned up. So it would look pretty good that way, kind of different. Or number three, just go ahead and do the body work to it, just kind of get it good enough, and then sand everything down, prime it, and then block it. Leave it that way for a while. Maybe able to do a single stage, just a really quick, down and dirty single stage, just to kind of get it good enough for now. I don't know. If you got any ideas, leave them in the comments. There's about, half a dozen different things we can do to it, but I do know that the box got to come off. So I'm going to jump on real quick and get all this stuff loaded out of the truck, put it in its perspective place, get the trash picked up, and the nuts and bolts, get all those together. That way I don't lose them. Kind of go through some of the parts and odds and ends that were taken off over the year, whatever, and I guess we'll go from there. But I think we are going to pull the transmission at some point. The transfer case needs to be going through bad. It's pretty bad. So we're gonna do that at some point. I want to get the drive shafts cleaned up, new joints. I need to put new like pinion seals and that sort of thing on the rear end, and I got to do a whole lot of just preventative maintenance for one, plus regular maintenance because I don't think much is done before, and just making sure that everything's good and clean. So let's get in here and get the bed of this truck cleaned out and kind of assess what we got, and then we'll go from there. But guys, it's going to be a little bit at a time. I work a full-time job, and I'm just doing this when I got a little bit of daylight when I get off of work. So, bear with us, but let's get it done. Let's hop in the back, check out what we got. Welcome to my bed. Let's go through some of this and kind of go and see what we got. But obviously, you can see we've got a bunch of trash here. This was from our flex plate. And this has got different things that we've got in here, like assembly lube and some anti-seize, some gasket sealer. Looks like some water pump gaskets. We'll save on all that. Got some trash there. Old rags, got to have some good rags. Lawnmower battery from the old house. Power steering pump that came off the LS. We're going to have to clean that bracket up, fix that. You got the bumper here that came off the truck. It looks pretty ratty. We're gonna have to clean that up. This was the torque converter that we put in the truck. Nice little B&M torque converter. Looks like we got a AC condenser in there. Here's the intake that came off the LS. This was a 2004, so it had the drive-by-wire. It did not have a cable actuator. It actually had the plug for the wire. But what's cool is it's got all the injectors still in here, right here. And of course the fuel rail, the crossover. Got some sensors here and here. So that's kind of cool. It's got a little bit of that still left in there. Looks like we got some front bumper valence parts. Just got a bunch of totes that are just full of miscellaneous things like headlights and headlight brackets that need to be cleaned up, and different, there's looks like a battery and the alternator bracket for the LS in there. And so we need to go through all this and get it cleaned up and see what kind of we got working with the parts that we have left over. Also, we need to see what kind of damage some of this got, because like there's the cowl, the front cowl for the behind the hood and in front of the glass. I'm sure that's probably bent to hell and back. I'm sure that AC condenser's probably been a nice dirt dauber nest for the last 6 months, so probably have to replace on that. But let's get this cleaned up and kind of assess what we got and take a look at this bed. Notice though that there's like no, I don't know if you can see this, let me see if I can zoom in. There's no dents. There's like a little bit of surface rust, but this bed is in excellent shape when we got it. I mean, look at that. That's a straight panel. That back panel straight. The a couple little dents, little dings here and there, little dents here and there, but really not bad at all. Fender wells look really good. They're not beat in and caved in. The bed of it's really straight. There's no warping to it. There's no rusted out spots. So I think we really got lucky with all that. You can see here, down here in this channel, that whole channel's really good shape all the way back. There's a seal for the transmission. Some bell housing bolts. So let's clean up all this and then we'll take another look at the bed. All right, well, that's done. So let's get you in here and show you what it looks like now. As you can see, the bed is nice and clean. See if we can zoom out a little bit. There you go. So we got it all cleaned out. Show you in here. Oh, we got a little bit of daylight left. That inner channel's not rusted out. Still has factory original paint on it. Looks great. Looking through here, I mean, there's no dents, there's no wavy floors. I mean, it's really gonna be a good solid body, especially when I put a nice coat on it. You can see that fender inside right there. I'll show you that a little bit more. I think that recently just got a dent in it within the last year because it was pretty solid before. You can see this one over here is good and straight. There's no rust in the corners. Everything looks really good there. I know it's a little dark, but see this one, you know, so I think it's gonna be good. The bedsides are really nice. There's a couple of screw holes, you know, here and here, here and here, here and here. There's one there, and then a couple up here. They had some little cheesy bed rails on there, but here's your front corners. I mean, the drain hole's not even rusty. And you can see, here's that dent. I'll try to spin you around, but see if we can get it. There's the only big dent that's in there, and it's right here. I think really it could probably be pushed from the outside and kind of get back straight. But other than that, oops, sorry about that. Other than that, I think it's in great shape. And this is the project that we're gonna work on. We've got 4 bolts up here and 4 bolts back here that we're gonna need to take out and get this bed loosened up from the frame. And then of course, we've got the tail lights to contend with, as well as the filler neck, and if there's any wiring harnesses and ground straps back there, but should be pretty good. So keep watching. We're gonna get this bed off and see what we can't do with it. All right, we're back in the shop today, and after thinking about it for some time, I think we've decided to focus our attention back on the engine and this engine cross member. For lack of better reasoning, we're gonna hack out the engine cross member. If I jack it up, I'll then go buy the $270 high clearance cross member. But hey, if I knock it out of the ballpark, then I can take that $270 and put on other accessories that I need, like starter, alternator. I can put it towards a new carburetor, long tube headers. I mean, who knows? So that'll just help our budget out even more. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to come in here and jack up this cross member and see if we can't get it just right. And there's a couple other things that we're going to work on that I noticed throughout, just kind of, you know, R&D, test and tune, just looking over stuff. There's a few things that I need to tweak, and I think it's going to sit in just fine. So watch, let's get it going. We're going to hack up this cross member. Oh, you know what? I need to notch the cross member real quick. We'll set that back down. That's really good. Work. Found it in the trash. Like that. I'll do what I was in the trash and it don't work. Alright, so let's try to take something and describe it. Then we're going to hit right here. Then we're going to hit right here. And probably going to go somewhere right here. Then, that's a wonderful scribe mark. We got clearance over there. Yeah. Like for days, huh? Okay, so we'll just need to box that out. Okay, now we can go up with gonna be pretty good. We're gonna pull it back a little bit. There we go, get it off the transmission back there. When we get it out, I want to spray for any damage on the flex plate or anything like that. That may have cause from us jamming it against the transmission. Going up, 15th floor, men's apparel. Speed shot parts. Yeah, there we go. See if we can get it out without making shit up. Good job, Daniel. Alright, let's look at it. Spin it around towards the camera. Or maybe we'll spin this. Hey, let's just spin the camera around. Let's do that. Alright. So, as you can tell, I don't know if you guys can tell. Let's see if we can get you in there a little closer. There we go, right there. So, like I was saying before, we are hitting the transmission a little bit here and there. And looking at the bell housing from here, I can see where it's hitting the top of it. But you can see the witness marks here on the flex plate. Nothing but just scratches, but that's fine. I think all the teeth are good. You can tell where we're hitting this snout adapter for the torque converter, but it's still great shape. Everything looks good. So, all right, you can also see where the transmission is kind of scratching up some of the paint, which is fine because we're not obviously needing all that. Yep, so that's exactly what's going on. We're just hitting it a little bit, and of course, you know, we got a notch at cross member. So let's get to that. That's notch at cross member. Also on the motor mounts, I've noticed that they're slotted. So we're going to move those back and forth on the frame side and try to get those more uniform. So we're going to move those and keep those clean. And then too, there's so many different, I don't know if you guys can see this, yeah, but there's a bunch of different mounting points for these block side mounts that we're actually going to ship them over just one section, which is probably 3/8 of an inch or something of that nature. But when I push those motor mount, the polyurethane mounts on the frame towards the transmission, and I move these back, it's actually going to bring my engine back to where it was sitting before. So it should work out, you know, theoretically, that it's about the same position as it is. Plus, I know that there are some slip yokes from the front drive shaft and the rear drive shaft, and we have a little bit of play there if we need to adjust the transmission a little bit. So we're going to knock these off. We're going to put, also these come with some really cheap hardware, and so we're going to put our some good hardware back in it, some nice sturdy stuff on the bolts for these mounts, and we're going to adjust these mounts, and we're going to notch the frame, and we're going to get back to it. All right, since we are going to cut right here, I'm going to go ahead and take this vent tube and move it out of the way. I don't really want to catch it up in the angle grinder or really have a whole lot of sparks hit it. So we're going to go ahead and remove this and just get it out of our way. And it'd help if I went in the right direction. You know, I was just seeing if you guys are paying attention. That'll also, I see a little rust underneath it, so it'll give us a chance to clean that up and get it treated and painted also. That way she won't rust out on us. Yeah. Actually not bad. All right. Well, that didn't flip like I wanted it to, so let's see if I can get this one out. one more bracket over here. This new steering parts look snazzy. All nice and clean. That didn't work either, so back to square one. Now you just came out of there, go back in. There we go. All right. Well, we'll figure something out. All right, motor mounts are back in with the old hardware. Got some blue Loctite on those. We moved those back one notch. I don't know if you can see that notch right there, but we moved it back one notch. Got those in. Spinning around. Got the frame notched out. We'll have moon shape, no sharp edges. That's going to prevent from a 90-degree angle or a cut-in straight is going to provide a stress point, and that's going to lead to cracks and bends and tears and rips. So that's how we did that there. And then we got the brackets moved back so they're spaced evenly. And I got the transmission shimmy back around. That way, got it kind of straightened up. So let's see if we can stab this engine in. All right, I got updates. We went and tried to put the engine in, and once again, still could not get the engine side mounts to sit in properly. We could get the passenger side put in, and it would lock into place, look perfect. And then over here, you can see where it started. Here's the witness mark. It was just driving into this frame rail right here, and I couldn't get it. I mean, it's a good inch and a half off. See if I can show you that. You see it was digging in here. It was digging in here. I then tried to adjust the motor to where it was sitting level and spaced on each side and just drop it in slowly, and they weren't going to mount up. So what we did was order some new engine mounts. And it's been a couple weeks since we tried to put that other one in because I've been waiting on those engine mounts, but they finally came in. We're going to flip you around again and show you what we got. But these, I think, are going to work really good. The ones are the design that we had were hitting the side of the frame, obviously, when we dropped it in. And then it was also kicked back a little bit on the engine side. It was hitting the AC bracket to put that condenser in, or that AC compressor. It was hitting the side of it, and it was kicking a bracket off a little bit, so it wasn't sitting flush anyway. But let me spin you around and show you what we're working with here, and then I'll explain what we're going to do, and we're going to try to stab this in once again today. I really think we're going to have good results with this particular mount. It looks better, and I think it's still giving us a good bit of adjustability. So let me spin you around real quick, and I'll show you what we're talking about. All right, here's the two style of engine mounts that we've got. First of all, show you this. This particular plate is similar to the ICT billet plates that you find. This is just an Amazon special. Really good construction, though. I like it. They're marked with the driver's side and the passenger side. So they're obviously, not going to mix those up. They have a nice countersunk here for the flat screw that goes in, and there's tons of adjustability across the front. That mounts up with these 3 bolts. So you can move your engine back and forward however you need to. The issue that we were having on the passenger side was that the AC bracket bolts or the holes were kicking this bracket up on the passenger side a little too much, and it wasn't making it sit flush. And so that creates an issue. One thing I will say that these, like I said, good quality billet aluminum. They're countersunk for those flat screws. They did come with the hardware for these to mount it to the engine block. And then, of course, the 3 screws to mount your small block Chevy clamshell to. However, the hardware was trash. And I think I paid like $20 for these on Amazon. But the construction's really good. I only had one spot where there was a little bit of where they cut the threads. There was just a little bit of material that didn't get cleaned up, and it took me 10 seconds to cut it off and clean it up. But these have worked really well. They tighten up good. They sit flush. The mounts do, or the plates do. But like I said, on the driver's side, the bracket fit fine. On the passenger side, it was kicked off a little bit. I know some guys will come in and they'll notch out different areas and get them to sit more flush, but to be honest with you, that just seemed like a whole lot of work. Now, ICT makes a bracket that's super similar to this, but I will say if you get the Amazon ones that are cheaper, you will probably need to buy new hardware because the hardware was not great. The flat countersunk style screws that went in that were Allen heads, those are fine. It was really the bolts that just mounted the bracket up. Now, I went on because we were having an issue with it hitting that frame rail, and I picked up these. This is a all-in-one type of bracket, comes together just in one piece. ICT also makes a bracket similar to this. Their bracket has just got a hole, like 4 holes. You can't, once you bolt them in, there's no adjustability on that. These will slide back and forth so you can set your engine forward or back or however you need to. But one thing I wanted to show you, like I was saying, you guys know we were hitting the frame. So we're going to set this up to where it was basically done in the truck. So I don't know if you guys can see this. I'll try to get you a little bit better. But this is where it was roughly on the engine side, the height wise, with the plate and the bracket, the engine side bracket. And these are the one-piece brackets that'll just slide back and forth. And since we were, look at the height difference. I don't know, let me see if I can get you guys down here a little bit more. The height difference was, it's an inch from bolt hole to bolt hole. If you can see that. It's, there's a lot more adjustability here to here. But there's a good inch from bolt hole to bolt hole. With putting both of them on, I think we're gonna have a whole lot more adjustability in the height, so which is gonna be great. It's gonna allow us to put these in, and we're gonna go ahead and stab these in this morning. So ICT makes these, like I said, they just have 4 holes at the top that you put in. And they're like 133 or 130, 135, something like that on Amazon. I picked these up. These are just the Chinese knockoffs for like 33, 35 bucks. So I saved $100 by getting these, and they have the adjustability here. Now, some of you are probably wondering, like, hey, aren't these going to move? But you got to remember, the engine's bolted to this, right? Then or this is bolted to the engine. The block is then bolted to the transmission, which is bolted to a cross member. So it's all going to be one sturdy piece. And then, of course, this is bolted to your frame rail. So they're really not, your engine's not going to move here because it's bolted to the transmission. And these aren't going to move because they're bolted to the frame and the engine. So even though it kind of looks like, it could move, you really have adjustability to put them on. But once you put them on, you're going to be set. The only issue I'm going to have is to try to line these up from left to right equally. But if I just bottom out one side or the other, which is what we're going to try to do, that's going to make it easier. But if we have to put it, in the middle, we may need to measure off of the back of the block and just pull a tape and then mark, where we want to put the ears or whatever. So, all right, we're going to put those on real quick and stab this engine in, and we'll come back to you. All right, well, there you have it, folks. Our $35 Amazon mounts work absolutely perfect. We've got the engine bolted in, sitting in here. I've just got to go back and button up the transmission torque converter. I've still got to go back and do the drive shafts and universal joints and grease the fittings in the front end and that sort of thing. But all that's going to come on the next video. Guys, here we are. We've got the engine, our LS, installed in the K10. We had to use the $35 Amazon mounts. And we cut the frame a little bit, the cross member a little bit over there, just to give it a little bit of clearance. But it's looking really good right now. And now we got to button things up and get it all kind of put together. So thanks for watching Big Easy Garage. This is the install, the trials and tribulations, what we went through. But maybe next time it'll be easier for us. And maybe after you guys watch this, it'll be easier for you guys. Here we go. LS is now in the K10. And we're ready to get this thing ripping. So stay tuned, keep watching Big Easy Garage. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Like the video, give us a comment, tell us what you want to see, tell us how we're doing, what we should improve on, that sort of thing. But please help us get to 1,000 subscribers. I think we have like 37 right now. So we're still a ways off, but we got hope. But there you go, $35 Amazon mounts. They look good, they're nice. I suggest them. Definitely recommend them. Made this install so much easier. I'll fault this thing with those billet plates and those SBC engine mounts, the small block Chevy 305, 350 engine mounts that were over there. But that's it, guys. We're going to wrap it up. Thanks for watching Big Easy Garage. See you guys next week.